In spite of that, and because I am not unmindful of what Mrs. Gillis and her husband have suffered, I'm willing to settle this case out of court. It'll save us all a lot of time, and money, and aggravation. But mind you, that is not admitting culpability, because there is none to admit. But $40,000 is my first and only offer. I'm not going to bargain or negotiate. That's it. Take it or leave it.
I'd like to confer with my client for a minute.
All right, Mason, don't take too long. We've been at this for 2 hours, and I have other business waiting.
It won't take long.
Is that really all he's going to offer us?
Knowing Dad, it may be.
And what would your share of that be?
16,000.
You sure figured that out fast.
I've always had a knack for figures.
Well, you started out asking 20 million.
Stay out of this, Lindsay. I know what I'm doing.
Mason, did you cut that short? I have a few more things I'd like to say.
We're not quite finished, Dad.
Just hear me out, and we'll give you plenty of time to decide. Now, I've tried not to bring my personal feelings into this, but I think I have a right to express them. Frankly, Mason, I'm a little disgusted with you. For what you've done, you've taken on a case of a woman whose negligence and inability to perform her duties have resulted in the death of Kelly's husband. Now, I know you don't care how much unhappiness you cause me, but how could you do this to Kelly?
If you'll let me explain, Mr. Capwell.
Please, Mrs. Gillis, I haven't finished. Now, Mason, if this woman has any compassion at all for the terrible suffering that our family has gone through, because she's unable as a policewoman to shoot a man who killed Joe Perkins and 4 other women, she would have dropped this entire issue right away. Now, I appreciate that she has suffered a terrible tragedy in her own family, but I would think the natural feeling of remorse over Joe's death would have kept her from coming after us. Indeed, maybe it's we who should be suing her right now.
Dad, let's not carry this to extreme.
The point is that I am making a very generous offer under the circumstances, and I think that your client should accept it and then get out of our lives.
I agree with Mr. Capwell. It is a most generous offer.
Because, Mrs. Gillis, if you refuse to settle, I will have to come to the conclusion that your moral indifference, coupled with your greed, make you unfit to continue on the Santa Barbara police force. Now, I think my son can tell you from his own experience what I can do to people who fail at their jobs.
I don't think threats are necessary, Dad. This started out as a compromise offer. Now it's turned into something menacing.
Oh, I'm not menacing anyone. It's just a simple statement of fact, not threats. But I think you would advise your client to give them serious consideration.